Have you ever paused to consider how a seemingly ordinary day can unravel into one of the most perplexing mysteries in Hollywood's recent memory? When news broke that the legendary actor Jean Hackman and his pianist wife Betsy Arakawa were discovered deceased in their secluded Santa Fe residence, most assumed it was a tragic yet natural conclusion to a long, quiet retirement. But as bits of information emerged, from the eerie pacemaker data to a single dog found lifeless in a closet, this narrative grew darker, challenging every easy assumption. What was initially brushed off as the peaceful passing of an elderly couple soon revealed itself to be anything but straightforward. In the earliest reports, the circumstances appeared surprisingly routine. A maintenance worker, on a simple job to inspect the premises, noticed the front door sitting ajar. After several unanswered knocks, he stepped inside. On the foyer floor lay the motionless body of Hackman. Further into the house, in a bathroom marked by scattered prescription bottles, was Arakawa. Both appeared to have been gone for days. Even so, there were no visible injuries, no broken windows, and no signs of theft. Investigators first chalked it up to the unfortunate but natural passing of an older couple. Then, a jarring detail complicated everything: a dead dog locked in a closet, while two other dogs wandered the home unharmed. That single fact cast an unsettling light on an already heartbreaking scene. As investigators combed through the residence, each new clue painted an increasingly complex puzzle. One revelation stood out above all else. The reading from Hackman's pacemaker indicated his heart had stopped exactly 9 days before the discovery of their bodies. If Hackman died on February 17th, what transpired inside that house during the subsequent days? Arakawa was found near several medications, some spilled haphazardly across the bathroom floor. Had she been trying to rescue her husband, treat her own condition, or both? Local authorities initially leaned toward a straightforward explanation: two individuals who simply passed in close succession. But this glaring timeline discrepancy nudged them to dig deeper. Compounding the tension was the 911 call placed by the maintenance worker. In a voice audibly shaken, he initially reported a single deceased individual. Mere moments later, he corrected himself, citing two bodies. The hesitation might have been nothing more than the shock of encountering a horrific scene. Still, in a case with so many unresolved questions, that small mix-up took on a life of its own. People wondered if he'd overlooked the second body, or if something else, something he wasn't saying, had caused the confusion. Investigators reviewed his work history and found no suspicious red flags, and officially, the matter was put to rest. Unofficially, it lingered, adding yet another question to a growing list. It wasn't just the eerie details inside the house that drew suspicion. The couple's secluded lifestyle meant that regular contact was never guaranteed, but those who knew them found 2 entire weeks of complete silence unsettling. Hackman was 95, Arakawa 65. Both had health conditions, but they were generally careful. Friends said that while the pair cherished privacy, they typically remained in touch with a small, trusted circle. What caused this total radio silence? As more time passed, the public began to whisper. Could they have chosen isolation for personal reasons, like a private dispute or health scare? Or might external factors have forced them into a deadly standstill? Some theories took shape rapidly. The most prominent idea revolved around a sudden cardiac event. Hackman, already known to have heart problems, could have collapsed without warning on that fateful February 17th, leaving Arakawa to grapple with an unimaginable emergency. She might have rushed for medication, only to suffer a catastrophic episode of her own, triggered by stress or a pre-existing condition. With no neighbors close enough to notice distress signals and no immediate calls placed to 911, despite the home's working phone lines, both could have perished before anyone realized something was wrong. On paper, it sounded plausible, yet it failed to address oddities like the deceased dog, found hiding in the closet as though it had experienced something terrifying. Toxicology reports for the couple came back clean, and tests showed no hazardous materials in the home. As days wore on, people speculated that the dog may have been locked in the closet by accident while Arakawa scrambled for help, or perhaps the poor animal sought refuge during moments of chaos. Then came darker rumors, ignited by the peculiar silence and that wide-open front door. Some asked if there could have been a third party, a break-in, or an individual who had a personal grudge. However, there was no forced entry, no ransacking, no sign of confrontation. Authorities found it improbable that anyone else entered or exited unseen. Yet, unanswered questions still hovered. If Hackman truly died 9 days earlier, why did Arakawa never reach out? Their cell phones were charged. Their landline worked, even in a frail condition. Making one call should have been possible, if not for Hackman's sake, then for her own. A few people close to the couple quietly suggested she might have been too disoriented from shock, or perhaps sustained a fall that left her incapacitated. Another angle pointed to the possibility that pride or confusion kept her from summoning help, though that explanation felt far too simple for such a devastating outcome. Coroners worked meticulously to establish a clear timeline. Hackman's autopsy confirmed cardiac arrest, in line with the data from his pacemaker. Arakawa's results were murkier, indicating signs of heart disease, but failing to rule out stress-induced complications. One cryptic note mentioned evidence of a possible fall, though it wasn't deemed life-threatening. Much like the rest of the case, her exact cause of death remained uncertain. The single dog's autopsy suggested it had died of dehydration after being locked in that closet, but how and when that happened remained up for debate. Beyond the technical puzzle, the emotional fallout rippled through friends, fans, and the tight-knit Santa Fe community. Hackman was an icon, a 2-time Academy Award winner, and a legend revered for everything from riveting crime dramas to unforgettable westerns. His quiet retirement had seemed peaceful, almost idyllic. Now, the haunting nature of his final days overshadowed the serenity many believed he had found. Newspaper headlines speculated on possible delayed responses or a desperate struggle for survival stretching on for days, adding another layer of heartache to an already somber tale. The public craved answers, but the official investigation brought more enigmas than resolutions. If Arakawa was alive for any length of time after Hackman's collapse, why didn't she call out to a neighbor or alert emergency services? Why was the front door left open when no evidence of forced entry existed? And why did the maintenance worker claim to see only one body if both were supposedly out in the open? Even well-respected investigators admitted that each plausible solution left at least one question dangling. With no evidence of foul play, no damning toxicology results, and no proof of a break-in, they were left pondering a tragic accident that didn't quite fit together. Ultimately, the death of Jean Hackman and Betsy Arakawa stands as a stark reminder that even a life defined by fame and accomplishment can end in a shadowy maze of unknowns. The contradictory clues, timelines that don't match up, calls that were never made, and a dog lying lifeless while 2 others roamed free have fueled endless speculation, yet hard proof remains scarce. Perhaps one day a new detail will surface, shedding light on that lost week and revealing why Arakawa didn't cry out for help. Until then, all that remains are questions echoing through the hushed corridors of their once peaceful home. It's a story that challenges our assumption that every mystery can be solved, and leaves us with an unsettling realization that sometimes the most haunting secrets are the ones that remain just out of reach.